In the context of the 20th anniversary of the Diplomatic Institute to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, I would say that the existence itself of the Diplomatic Institute is already success, because it was established 20 years ago in the moment when Bulgaria held a negotiation process to become a member of the NATO and European Union. And it was very important at that time to have the administration and the diplomatic service prepared for the reality of being a member of those very important, let's say, communities for Bulgaria. Before that, the Bulgarian diplomats had their own school, I would say, because this is the only one school for preparing or training Bulgarian diplomats in the modern history of Bulgaria, which means at that time in 135 years, as I think 20 years ago, or maybe less. So it was important to continue with the efforts and to launch very high standards of training of diplomats, because it was something completely new, and I would say that we started from zero. Nowadays we have a lot of training programs, both for diplomatic service and the state administration of Bulgaria, and I would say that nowadays our work is important for the career of diplomats and career in the state administration. We have three main pillars in our activities. First is training, second is research, and the third is public diplomacy. So in training we introduced many years ago programs related to energy diplomacy, which became one of the most important, I would say, topic and dimension of the work of the Institute, not only in training but also in research. And annually we have a seminar on energy diplomacy. It became a really important international seminar for experts, both from diplomatic services in the region here, but also from the respected institutions in the region. So energy diplomacy I would mention. The second is digital diplomacy, and I would like to mention that we launched in the diplomatic service in Bulgaria also a new dimensions in the diplomatic training and diplomatic activities in general. So I mentioned energy diplomacy, and I would like to focus on digital diplomacy. We started with that a few years ago. Of course, COVID helped us very much in that, but there was no such an understanding how important it is for diplomats to work, let's say, freely in the social media, for example, or to use digital tools nowadays. And the third, I would mention also economic diplomacy, and we are going to have a lot of not just events but training in the next months, in next maybe 1 and 2 years. And the last one at that time, I would mention science diplomacy, which is going to be introduced in September when we're going to celebrate our 20th anniversary. So those dimensions are completely new in understanding of practicing diplomacy. And I would say that the Diplomatic Institute, being part and participate in international forum on diplomatic training and also on the EU level, which is called European Diplomatic Program, we are aware of the modern trends in diplomacy, and that's why we are trying to introduce them in our Bulgarian context. Speaking about the Balkans, it's normal to say that we, as a country of the European Union, it's normally to think about the region as a region which belongs to the European Union. So this means that we should speak about the future, and I believe it's a near future. I think that Bulgaria has had, in fact, a real example and showed a real example how we did our homework during the negotiation process for being a member of the European Union. Me personally, I remember all of the details at that time, and I think that the other countries in the region should do the same. They should do their homework, and it's not necessary to say how important is the daily communication on all level with all of the countries on the Balkans. Having in mind that we are 3 countries of the EU on the Balkans, all of us should communicate every day with the other countries that are candidates for the membership of the European Union. From the perspective of the Diplomatic Institute, I would say that we did a lot. For years, we tried and we succeed in organizing seminars for sharing our experience in negotiation process to become a member of the EU. I would mention practically all of the 6 countries in the Western Balkans. We had an excellent exchange and seminars with my colleagues there. I would like very much to continue with that. With all of the diplomatic academies and structures responsible for training, we are ready to continue with sharing our experience because I think we did an excellent job during our negotiation process. I'm witnessing the new generations of young diplomats who joined in the last 20 years to the diplomatic service, and I'm completely, let's say, feel happy to see the quality of the young people that would like to join the service and to feel a part of the Bulgarian diplomatic service and to serve to Bulgaria through the means and instruments of the diplomacy. I would say that the future is bright, but this is a profession, this is something which is very expert and it's not enough. So we should have a very clear policy, and then the diplomats with all of their skills and knowledge will be really very helpful to the policy that Bulgaria would have in the region.